December 2024. One of the most important military bases in the United States, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, experiences something that remains unexplained to this day. Unidentified drones repeatedly appear over ultra-sensitive military areas. They extinguish their own lights to avoid detection. They fly in swarms of up to 17 units at a time. The entire base is locked down. NOTAMs, official orders to close airspace, are issued. And then comes the part no one expected. A commercial pilot at an altitude of 16,000 feet, over 4,800 meters in the air, reports an object passing 500 feet below him. He describes this object as a black cube. Flying at an altitude far beyond the capabilities of any commercial or hobbyist drone on the market. None of this is rumor. This isn't internet speculation. These are official U.S. government documents, released by force of law through FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, requests, which compel the government to reveal what is hidden. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, event by event, precisely as recorded in the documents. Before diving into the events, I need you to understand exactly where all of this took place. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is located in the state of Ohio, near the city of Dayton. This isn't just any base. It is one of the most important installations of the United States Air Force. It is the hub where Air Force One operates when the president is not using it. It serves as the launch point for global command and control missions, and is home to the Air Mobility Command, which coordinates military logistics operations across the entire planet. In short, Wright-Patterson is a top-tier national security target. Any unauthorized activity in the airspace surrounding it is, by definition, a serious threat. The story I'm about to tell you only reached the public because of a system called FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act. It is a U.S. law that allows any citizen to request official documents from the government. The government is legally required to release these documents, except in cases where the law permits them to redact specific parts. The person who requested these documents was John Greenwald, Jr., a researcher who created the Black Vault, the largest online archive of FOIA documents in the entire world. He is responsible for the declassification of hundreds of thousands of pages released by the U.S. government and the military. His FOIA request is numbered 2025-04622 and was directed to the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, the agency that controls air traffic in the United States. The documents that were released come from an internal FAA system called SKYWATCH. SKYWATCH is an operational security platform used by the FAA to collect and distribute reports of suspicious or unauthorized aerial activities. These reports are gathered by air traffic control towers, FAA regional centers, and what they call the Domestic Events Network, or DEN, which is essentially an internal communication network for national security events. Whenever something suspicious occurs in American airspace, SKYWATCH is where the official record ends up, and it is from within SKYWATCH that I am going to read these events to you. The first event recorded in SKYWATCH occurred on December 14th, 2024 at 3:55 a.m. UTC, which is approximately 10:55 p.m. local time in Ohio the previous night. The document states that the event was reported to the DEN, the Security Events Network, by the air traffic controllers at the Wright-Patterson Tower, referred to as FFOATCT. What the controllers observed was this: a drone, or multiple drones, was spotted over the base's hot cargo pad, then over the south side of runway 5L, next over the military ramp, and finally on the east side of the airport along the perimeter road. But here's the detail that makes the situation even more serious. The document describes that base security, the security forces on the ground, reported that the drones were extinguishing their own lights and flying in very close proximity to them. In other words, the drones were consciously avoiding detection. They would turn off their lights as they approached personnel. This is not the behavior of a hobbyist drone left on by mistake. This is deliberate, evasive behavior. The impact was immediate. The base issued two NOTAMs, M1132/24 and M1133/24, which are official orders closing the airspace. The airport was shut down. The information was broadcast on the ATIS, the automated information system that pilots listen to before landing. The control tower remained open, but flight operations were suspended until base leadership could meet at 12 p.m. the following day. At 12:30 p.m., Wright-Patterson resumed normal operations, but that normalcy did not last long. 3 days later, on December 17th, at 4:41 a.m. UTC, approximately 11:41 p.m. local time, the Wright-Patterson Tower reported something different to the DEN. This time, it wasn't a direct visual sighting, it was radar. Controllers reported multiple primary targets on the tower radar and assumed they were drones. However, up to that point, there was no visual confirmation. No one in the tower or on any aircraft had seen these objects with their own eyes. The Riverside Police, the local department for the city closest to the base, was notified via the number 937-233-1801. At this stage, the situation was still being treated as something that required investigation, but that was about to change in less than 20 minutes. At 4:58 a.m. UTC, just 17 minutes after the previous event, the FAA's ZID Center entered the log. The ZID Center is a larger regional control facility that manages airspace over a much broader area than an individual tower can cover. What the ZID Center detected on radar was a significantly higher number of targets. The document states, between 7 and 17 simultaneous targets within a 40-mile radius of the airport. But here is the most critical point of this event. Base security forces on the ground confirmed that the targets appearing on radar were indeed drones. It wasn't interference. It wasn't an equipment malfunction. They were real drones. The document officially categorizes this incident as a swarm, multiple drones operating simultaneously in the same area. A drone swarm over a U.S. military base. This is not something that happens every day. In fact, it is extremely rare and deeply concerning from a national security standpoint. Riverside Police were notified again, and the ZID Center also alerted CMHA-PCH, which is the approach control for Columbus, the nearest major city. Still on the same day, but now at 18:08 UTC, around 1:08 p.m., mid-afternoon local time, a commercial pilot filed a direct report. The pilot was on approach, flying eastbound at 3,200 feet, when they observed a silver drone approximately 5 nautical miles southeast of Wright-Patterson. The pilot took no evasive action, meaning they didn't need to deviate from their path. The drone was not in the aircraft's direct trajectory, but it was close enough to be clearly visible. The Greene County Sheriff's Office was notified. Another contact number, 937-562-4800. The FAA later recorded the coordinates for this sighting, latitude 39.7547, longitude -83.9695. These coordinates placed the object exactly in the Dayton region, surrounding Wright-Patterson. So at this point, we have more than just radar data and ground security reports. We have a commercial pilot stating firsthand, "I saw a silver drone in the air," at an altitude and position that are entirely consistent with the base's vicinity. And now we come to the most mysterious event of all. 2 days later, on December 19th, at 18:45 UTC, an aircraft flying westbound at 16,000 feet, that's over 4,800 meters in the air, a typical altitude for regional commercial flights, made a report that is very difficult to explain. The aircraft crew reported that a drone passed underneath them, approximately 500 feet below. But that wasn't all. The crew didn't describe the drone as something normal. They described it as a black cube. A cube, not a flat square, not a round object. A cube, black. The aircraft was at position APE 275 at 9 nautical miles, meaning it was 9 nautical miles from the VOR named Appleton, which is located approximately 70 to 80 miles northeast of Wright-Patterson. The FAA recorded the coordinates, latitude 40.1624, longitude -82.7987. These coordinates placed the object further east than Wright-Patterson itself, but within the same week, within the same set of incidents, and within the same SKYWATCH recording system. Now, let's talk about what this 500-foot proximity means in practice. At 16,000 feet, 500 feet is a relatively short distance. It is close enough to clearly see what the object is, and what the crew saw was a black cube. No commercial drone on the market has this shape. No hobbyist UAS has this shape. And the altitude of 16,000 feet is well beyond what any commercial or recreational drone can reliably reach. The FAA document also reveals another important detail. When the FAA published this report on its own website, in the UAS sightings near airports section, the black cube description was removed or deliberately omitted. This raises the question, why? But the story didn't stop with the events I just described. Along with the SKYWATCH data, the FAA also released an official letter, signed by Lakeisha A. Price, Vice President of System Operations, explaining that a portion of the documents was withheld. The reason provided was FOIA Exemption 3. Exemption 3 allows the government to withhold documents that are protected by another federal statute. In this specific instance, the law cited is 10 U.S.C. 130E, a section of the United States Code regarding the Department of Defense. This law states that the Department of Defense may withhold information regarding critical infrastructure when the disclosure of such information could expose vulnerabilities that, if exploited, could cause significant damage to military operations, property, or DoD facilities. Furthermore, they cite a letter from the Department of Defense itself, dated June 2017, in which the DoD informed the FAA that military flight data constitutes Department of Defense Critical Infrastructure Information, DCRIT, and therefore cannot be disclosed. This means there is more information in these documents than what we are seeing. The military flight data, which possibly includes details on exactly what these drones were doing, their exact flight paths, and who might have been operating them, was deliberately censored. In the release document itself, you can see markings that literally state B3, 10 U.S.C. 130E. These are the exact points where information was removed before the documents reached the public. These FAA documents are not the only ones that exist regarding this situation. Prior to their release, the U.S. Air Force had already released its own set of documents under FOIA case number 2025-01757-F, which the Black Vault also published. In these USAF documents, base security forces reported sightings of multiple drones over the bases Area A and Area B. Some flew in organized formations. Others made rapid altitude changes. Some even extinguished their lights as they approached security personnel. In several instances, the drones appeared directly over the flight line, the area where aircraft are parked, and over the base's entry gates. But, and this is important, the black cube did not appear in any of these Air Force documents. It only appeared in the FAA records. This could mean that these specific events, what the control towers and pilots were witnessing, were not being fully shared with the base leadership or security teams. When you piece it all together, the USAF records and the FAA documents, the picture that emerges is as follows. First, confirmed incursions. There is no doubt that unauthorized drones entered the airspace around Wright-Patterson multiple times in December 2024. This has been confirmed visually, via radar, and by security forces on the ground. Second, swarms. The FAA recorded as many as 17 simultaneous targets within 40 miles of the base. This is not a single stray drone. This is a coordinated operation. Third, official lockdown. The base was closed. NOTAMs, notices to air missions, were issued. This is a high-level response that proves authorities treated the situation as a legitimate threat. Fourth, evasive behavior. The drones extinguished their lights. This is not something that happens by accident. It suggests that whoever was operating them did not want to be detected. And fifth, the black cube at 16,000 feet. An unusually shaped object at an altitude far beyond the normal capabilities of commercial or recreational UAS, recorded during the same week of incursions, yet notably absent from the Air Force documents. So, what exactly is going on here? The truth is, we don't know. The U.S. government has yet to officially explain who is operating these drones, why they were there, or what the object described as a black cube truly was. What we do know is that official documents confirm these events took place, that portions of the records were redacted based on a law protecting military critical infrastructure, and that the black cube description was scrubbed from the public version the FAA posted on its own website. More FOIA requests are currently underway. John Greenwald and the Black Vault continue to push for the remaining documents. As new information is released, this story will only continue to grow. If you want to follow the upcoming revelations, make sure to hit the notification bell and leave a comment below. What do you think was flying over Wright-Patterson in December 2024? Until next time.